Fraggle Rock! Ooh. What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Warzone Sports Network. And this is another episode of the Sports Dummies. Welcome in here in a safe space for you to say the dumbest things you want about your favorite sports teams. We try to keep it positive and above the belt and have some fun for the next half hour or so. If you're listening to us on podcast platform, subscribe, leave a review, let us know what you think. If you're with us live on YouTube or watching the replay, please subscribe and join us. It is a great time. We're all about having fun and talking about sports. We're going to get to Tyreek and Mahomes and Brady and NFL talk and the Packers and all that good stuff. We'll go around. We'll have a couple random topics at the end. Joe Morley, how you doing?
Doing good, Tony. Doing good. You already talked about Tyreek Hill's out of the AFC West. So as an AFC West fan, we have to be happy about that. We'll break that down. Just another wonderful week in the world of sports. Yeah, I didn't know if anybody knew that I had those pipes, Tony. I had to show it off for just a little bit.
Yeah, every once in a while, I feel like it's something you gotta flex. Because if you know, singers sing, Joe. Mm-hmm. It's an adage as old as time. Dancers dance. I do it all. I'm kind of like a five-tool player. Dance, sing, talk.
I'm not gonna say that I'm good at dancing or singing, but the people that have seen me dance and sing or heard, they say I got talent, Tony. Going to the top.
There it is. America's Got Talent. AGT contestant Joe Morley. Yeah, you can even go out to Vegas and then you can catch a game and audition and all that good stuff. Where would you like to start this week in the world of sports?
Let's start with the Tyreek Hill. I know a lot of people have been hitting me up. I've been busy this week and they're like, Joe, what are your thoughts about Tyreek Hill to the Dolphins? 5 draft picks to the Dolphins, and they already know what I think about the Dolphins. But let's start there, Tony. I want to hear a little bit about you, and then I'll go into my little rant.
So on the Nuts and Bolts show, I already talked about this. I actually think that I think this could make or will make Patrick Mahomes a better quarterback in the long run. I'm not happy that this happened. I think you want to sign a bloated contract to a speedy receiver. The legs they start to go after 30. It's just a fact for these guys. They start to get a few more injuries, cramps, whatever. And Patrick Mahomes needs this. He needs to know that he doesn't have that outlet that I can make some bad plays, but at the end, I can always just chuck it up to Tyreek and he'll bail me out type of a situation. I went into depth on that on Nuts and Bolts. You can see that here on this channel or on the Nuts and Bolts channel. So I want to focus more on the Dolphins side, which I did not go into. This is Tua time. Tua, the clock is so freaking loud and bright and big and whatever you want it to be, my friend. But if you can't succeed with this much speed and this much talent, Mike Gesicki was a very coveted free agent if he had got to hit the market. I guarantee you that. I have no doubt the Chargers would have put in an offer to Mike Gesicki to get him in this offense. For the Chargers, that is. They keep him there. Then you got Jalen Waddle, who could fly. Tyreek Hill. A lot of people think Tyreek Hill is just a burner, but he actually he can do it all, really. Like, he can be all over the place. So now you have all these guys. My favorite thing, and I text this to you guys, was at the press conference, Tyreek Hill goes, yeah, man, we got Tua. He's one of the most accurate quarterbacks, and he's just going to get us the ball and do it. You can't say, you don't speak to his leadership. You don't speak to, what a gamer he is or, anything. He's accurate. By what, 0.1% over the next guy, over Kirk Cousins or whoever's the next one. All these quarterbacks are throwing 65% completions because most of the throws are within, 5-10 yards of the line of scrimmage. They're not heaving the ball downfield like Favre was, 25 times a game. So they should be accurate. I think the Dolphins are very interesting because I liked what they did before they got Armstead and Hill. So to me, this is the more interesting side. The Chiefs are going to be fine. Andy Reid, Mahomes will be fine, especially if he's the player everybody tells me he is. So What are your thoughts on this deal? On Hill, on Dolphins, whatever.
All right. Tyreek Hill, good wide receiver. I'm not going to bash him because I think he is a top 5 wide receiver in this league. Is he worth 5 draft picks? I don't know. You're worth whatever somebody gives up to you, right? And $30 million. But that's the going rate for wide receivers, right? We just saw Devontae Adams get his money. Tyreek Hill says, give me yours. That's how the NFL contracts work. For the Chiefs, for the Kansas City Chiefs, I think this is a horrible deal this year for the upcoming year because you're getting rid of your wide receiver. The guy, like you said, when the plays broke down, when Patrick Mahomes was running for his life, he had one guy that got open for him, and that was Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill would sneak behind the defender and be open, and with his blazing speed was gone. Do we think that would have lasted for years? Probably not. But for this year alone, I think it's going to really affect the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, I think the Kansas City Chiefs and their front office and Andy Reid have a little bit of pressure because these draft picks, a lot of draft picks that they have this year, they have to pan out, Tony, because the Kansas City Chiefs have that big Patrick Mahomes contract hitting. It starts this year, but it's not as bad this year until it gets into the 45 range next year. So next year, they need these 11 draft picks or whatever. I think it's the 10 or 11 draft picks that they have this year. They need at least 6 of them to pan out. Hopefully some of them on defense. Maybe one is a wide receiver. And that goes on the front office of the Kansas City Chiefs because you need these young players that aren't on big contracts to start playing well. And they needed to get some of this youth in there because Kansas City, yes, they've been winning, but they've been kind of an older team. If you look at them, Tyrann Mathieu, all those guys, they were older veterans that they brought in. The offensive line in Kansas City is still scary. Patrick Mahomes is going to be running for his life. This Juju Smith and Valdez Scantling, do they scare you? They're not number 1 wide receivers. They built a wide receiving core of number 2 wide receivers, hoping that all these number 2 wide receivers do enough with Patrick Mahomes and Patrick Mahomes can elevate him, which I don't know, Tony. I'm going to take a step back on Patrick Mahomes. I've been taking a step back on him since last year. I'm going to just take a little bit step back and just watch it just one more year and see how he performs. Now for the Miami Dolphins. They had to make a splash, right? They're in all this heat. Now you're not hearing about the Miami Dolphins paying to blow games, all this stuff. All that Brian Flores stuff has gone out the window. Where's all that stuff? Bring that stuff back. So Miami's out here going, oh, look, we're not tanking. We're out here to win. We're out here getting great players, Tony. So they bring in Tyreek Hill. Like you said, they already have Jalen Waddle. They have Devontae Parker still. They have Albert Wilson. They have Will Fuller. They have, Cedric Wilson. They signed Chase Edmonds that we both don't like. But they brought in Mostert. They still have Myles Gaskin. So they have a good roster, or they're bringing in a lot of names. But the one thing that I hate, Tony, is they still have Tua as their quarterback. Tua is not going to win with this roster. I don't care how good you have, how good of talent you have around him. You built a good offensive line, but Tua, in my opinion, is not going to get the job done. And all these people that we're talking about, Devontae Adams taking a big step back because of Derek Carr sucking. Imagine how big of a step back and stat-wise Tyreek Hill is going to step back with this quarterback in Miami. And he's going into what? A run-first offense. Tyreek Hill is going to get that playbook and be like, hey, where's all the passes at? What's up with this? Because they're going to run that San Francisco playbook, which is more than likely going to be some trick plays and some running, and it's based around the running game.
Yeah, but you don't think that they aren't going to be doing some stuff like they did with Debo, right? Like they did not give up all of this for Tyreek Hill to bring him in and not find ways to get him the football a lot, right? So like I'm on the opposite side. My thing is this is unsustainable what the Dolphins have done if Tua is actually a franchise quarterback, because at some point you can't be paying all this money to Tyreek. Jalen Waddle's going to need money. You're going to need to be spending money on other players, especially your defense. You wouldn't be able to sign your secondary guy. So when I look at it like this, Tua is going to succeed this year. And a lot of people are going to come out and be like, I told you. And it's like, you think that this is the version of success that's sustainable in the NFL? Because when it comes to a big game and you are playing a team that is complete and they're bringing the pressure on him. I don't think he's the guy that's going to get you over the hump. Maybe he is. That's what we get to see. But I think as far as like success and putting up numbers, there's no way you can't put up numbers in this offense. They went and got Chase Edmonds and Raheem Mostert. Like, those are two good running backs. Now, we'll see what Mostert looks like after. But there was the next-gen stats or whatever. Mostert was running 22 miles an hour. He's another speedster that they got back there. So I like what the Dolphins have done. I just don't think long-term you can't be spending all of this money on all of this talent if Tua is actually the guy. Like, look at what the quarterbacks like Burrow and Herbert have done without that talent, really, right? You know, like, even before Burrow got hurt last year, just remember how he was with just T. Higgins. And then you bring in just Jamar Chase, and it's still a bad O-line, and the guy's still balling. I don't need to go into what Herbie did with guys that aren't even in the league anymore. Tyron Johnson can't even make a roster. Jalen Guyton's going to be a fourth wide receiver on this team. Like, you have to be able to perform well without $72 million guaranteed wide receivers. And I'm not sure Tua will ever be able to do that. But I think he'll be fine next year.
Okay, and the Miami Dolphins. Who carried the Miami Dolphins last year?
Who carried them?
The defense. The defense in Miami won the games for him last year. Tua almost blew a lot of those games. And what did Miami start? 0-7 last year, 1-7 last year? And then they came back run. My question is, are these guys going to play hard, and are they going to play as good without Brian Flores as their coach? A lot of us were high on Brian Flores. Then all of a sudden he got fired, and they bring in, what's his name, Mike McDonald from
Mike McDaniel.
Mike McDaniel.
Yeah.
The crazy dude from San Francisco. Like, are you sold on that defense being as good with Brian Flores out of there? Like this whole team is going through a whole transfer, and that's what you got to – I'm looking at the whole team, and like bringing in Tyreek Hill and giving up all those draft picks, does that really help your whole team as a whole? And I'm going to say no.
I don't think long-term it doesn't, but if you look at how many picks the Dolphins had, they've been collecting picks for moves like this so they could make a big splash. And I think that this is what you need to compete with the Bills. What you need these kind of weapons to go up and play a Belichick defense. Everybody keeps going, what's Bill doing this offseason? He's quiet. He's not doing anything. It's like, he's Belichick. It's fine. He got Malcolm Butler to come back after he benched him in a freaking Super Bowl. Like, the guy has mental power. If you benched me in a Super Bowl, even if it was my fault, coach, I don't care. I was your best corner going into the game against Philly. We lose. You bench me. You can punish me, fine me, do whatever. Don't take away the Super Bowl from me. And he's going back there. He's playing mind games and gets players always to come back to New England.
All right, so let me talk about this because I don't think you saw it, Tony. But now the rumors are circulating. They're circulating that Tom Brady is working his way out of Tampa Bay, and he wants to go to Miami. He wants to go to the Miami Dolphins. And it said the Miami Dolphins are working on getting him over there, and Tom Brady's working on getting his way out of Tampa. This could be the rumors. But like I always say, where there's smoke, Tony, there's a little bit of fire, right? Do you believe these rumors, and could Miami benefit from Tom Brady?
So, it's Tom Brady, so just stop. Of course they could benefit from – anybody benefits from him, especially in this NFL. The NFL where you can't even touch the quarterback, yes, Tom Brady literally could play for like another 3 or 4 years because the guy's in such good shape. But the rumors about Brady to Miami, they actually started before he even came back. It was like, well, the Dolphins might want to offer him some ownership stakes or whatever. It's an international city. It'd be good for Giselle. Maybe he comes back and he's player owner. All sorts of crazy stuff. Here's the thing. If you're the Bucks, you are not trading Tom Brady away when you just gave money to Chris Godwin, when you just gave money to Carlton Davis, and you just re-signed Ryan Jensen. You're not trading Tom Brady. Tom Brady's going to be a Buck, and Tom Brady would be an absolute fool to go to the AFC right now anyways. Stay in the NFC. Try to live out your dream of being a 49er. Brady, do not come to the AFC. You spent 20 years dominating it when it was not as good. You don't want this smoke. Trust me, this is a young man's game over here.
if Tom Brady comes to the AFC, we might as well just wrap the NFC Super Bowl championship playoff spot or Super Bowl spot to the Rams and be like, here, you don't have to play the rest of the season. You're in, and then we'll just let the AFC fight it out to see who plays you, because there is going to be no competition, absolutely no competition in that NFC.
Yes, I want to talk about Bodo Steelers while he's here. I'm not sure what he's, got a busy night, long haul trucking, but he says, can I be mad that the Steelers still don't have a quarterback? This to me is really funny, because the moment that I was happy for Trubisky, right? And then I saw the rumors that Baker Mayfield, if he was released, the Steelers would be interested in going and getting him. I was like, Trubisky, he didn't even get a week without any smoke behind him. And then it was like, you're going to bring in a guy who is the exact opposite of Trubisky, like loud, brash, big talking on social media all the time. That is not good for Mitch Trubisky's confidence or any conversation. And I know you don't owe the guy anything, but still, like, if you're going to make that work, you could tell him, hey, don't say anything. Our plan is to draft so-and-so in the draft or whatever, but we didn't even get to the draft. And they're talking about trying to find ways to bring in Baker Mayfield. I was like, Baker Mayfield doesn't even seem like a Mike Tomlin kind of player. Like, he's competitive, but he's always talking. That's not Mike Tomlin. He doesn't want that, does he?
No, he's trying to get rid of those players. Mitchell Trubisky is a good quarterback. He's going to – Steeler fans, stop putting him down and actually look at his numbers. And one season, his second year in the league, he went 11-3. 11-3 in that Chicago Bear offense that we've now turned out to be horrible. He has a winning record as a quarterback, though. He's 29-21 in his career. Like, this guy puts up good numbers. He played the last time we saw him, or that last full season that he played with the Bears, he was actually hurt with the shoulder injury and kept going out there and trying to play for his team, which made it actually look a little bit bad. But Mitchell Trubisky, there's a reason, Tony, and people can doubt it all they want. There's a reason somebody saw enough in him that made him go number 2 overall, right? Somebody saw enough for him. I'm not going to say they were smart enough to take him over Deshaun Watson, but he was taking over Deshaun Watson in that same draft. You want to talk about accurate? He's throwing the same percentage as Tua, right? 65%. It's there. All he has to do is sit back, hand that ball off to Najee Harris, and then every once in a while throw it up to Claypool for a touchdown. If Mitchell Trubisky was the quarterback of the Steelers last year, they would have won 2 or 3 more games than they did with Ben.
Yeah, I think Trubisky will be fine there. I don't know that he's the long-term solution for them at quarterback. I would probably still look. If I'm Pittsburgh and I start seeing some of these guys really tumble down to me, I give real consideration to Kenny Pitt and Malik Willis for sure in this draft. They're just 2 guys that I think would fit nicely into that system, and it's worth a look. Pittsburgh is made 2 moves that I really liked, and I can't think of the guy's name. I'm blanking on it, but they signed the guy from Buffalo, the DB from who stepped up when Tre'Davious White was injured. I can't think of what his name is, but I think he played well last year. And then they got Miles Jack, who I think is a linebacker who's still got a lot left in him. And I get why they went the Aluakon route down there. He's a little bit more, hey, we're getting smoked. We need somebody to get out here and make some tackles while people are trying to run the clock out against us. But I think they've made some good moves. I think Pittsburgh is going to compete out there, especially if Deshaun Watson is going to miss 4 to 6 games. The NFL's got to get their shit together.
And Pittsburgh has brought in some offensive linemen, Tony. They brought in some quiet offensive linemen, under the radar offensive linemen. We were gonna talk about it last week or the week before. We were gonna talk about the Steelers, or I was gonna talk about the Steelers and how I think they're having one of the best off seasons, but it's just been quiet because they're not bringing in these big name guys. They're bringing in good role playing guys that are gonna put their heads down and play football, just Steeler football, which every year we talk about. Maybe this is the year that the Steelers fall and Mike Tomlin keeps them at top. Mike Tomlin has never had a losing season, and why are we gonna not trust him this year when he's bringing in some more guys? He finally got his old quarterback out. Comparison between Mitchell Trubisky and Baker Mayfield. I just looked it up, Tony. Baker Mayfield, 29-30 in his career. So he has 9 more losses than Mitchell Trubisky in his career, and he's only a 61% career passer. So
yeah, but again, you gave Trubisky the break for the shoulder injury. Now you got to give Baker the break. He played through a shoulder injury last year with the harness and whatever. Like they both battled through some injuries and they suffered for it because they, one, it's tough to play with an injury, and two, they're not that talented.
No, but that's what you got to realize when you bring in a quarterback like Mitchell Trubisky or Baker Mayfield, is that you can't put the game on, make them win that game. That's why you have a great running game in Cleveland, because you want to hand the ball off and then don't make. But if Baker's going to throw the ball 30 times, it's not your offense. That's the same way that Pittsburgh has to be with Mitch. Mitch has to throw the ball 25 times, maybe, just keep handing that rock off, hand that rock off.
Well, here, this is going to help you out with your Trubisky point, is that shows like ours have ruined quarterbacks getting to develop, because it's not just us. It's ESPN, it's Fox, it's NFL Network, it's constant talk. If Zach Wilson has a bad year this year, it's going to be, do the Jets need to be thinking about whatever? Same thing with Tua. All of these players, if they're not doing miraculous things, because the game has been set up for quarterbacks to succeed. So when your quarterback doesn't succeed, all of a sudden it's just like, well, we need to put this under a microscope. I've heard for the last 4 years, is Mike Tomlin on the hot seat? The dude's never had a losing season. He won games with Mason freaking Rudolph and Duck Hodges. Like, how is he on? What kind of hot seat would he be on? Like, the guy can coach football, but it's what we need stuff to talk about. And so we go in like, Mitchell Trubisky did this or Baker did. These guys aren't even getting 3-4 years to succeed and fail. We've seen highs from both Baker and Mitch, but they're polarizing. People either hate them or they're like, I believe in them. I could give them a chance. You have to almost come out, steal the imagination from people, right? You have to allow people to be like, oh, you're an idiot if you don't think Joe Burrow is going to be the next Tom Brady because he went to the Super Bowl in the second year, but then you look around, it's like, oh, well, Tua will never win or play in this league because he's garbage. Really? He had a bad offensive line. Like, it wasn't set up for him to fail. Now I'm with it. I don't really like Tua that much. Didn't really love him that much before the draft. I thought he was fine, but not on the level of Justin Herbert. And that is nothing to do with the amount. They need a little bit of time to breathe. You can't expect every quarterback to come in and you only get to have one rookie of the year. You only get to, you only get 16 games to leave an impression. And then you have 6 months of nothing but people crapping all over you, no matter what you did, trying to poke holes in you.
Bodo Winter says, well, the problem is, unlike Green Bay, we're making the playoffs is good enough. In the Steelers country, it's all about the hardware. We don't care about MVPs. It's about the Lombardi trophy.
I couldn't agree more. I really do believe that is like,
it's tough to sell a fan base on a winning season when that's all they do is win, Tony, because they never experienced, like the Pittsburgh Steelers have had 3 coaches in 45 years. Like, they don't know the turnaround. They don't know the grief that all these other franchises have gone through, these losing seasons. Like my Raiders, the first time they made the playoffs was this year since not since 2016, but two playoff appearances since 2022 or 2002, Tony.
Since 2002.
2. And these guys are mad over 16 years of winning. It's hard. I know, because everybody wants the Lombardi trophy at the end of the year, Tony. Everybody wants this trophy at the end of the year, but only one team walks away with that, like you said as well. What is a good season for teams? And look at the 49ers, Tony. Jimmy G led them to the NFC Championship. He's not good enough to get us to the Super Bowl. Get his ass out of here. So, you said, quarterbacks have so much pressure on them, and one play, no matter what they do, can make or break their career.
I heard people doubting Trevor Lawrence last year. I was like, your coach is getting lap dances and quitting in the middle of the season, and you're gonna bail on this this prodigy after 9 games? You got to be kidding me. But I'll say this: I think that like we've lost our way, and maybe it's this country. I'm not worldly enough to know, but especially here. Since in what other thing is second place or third place not a good outcome? If you went to the Olympics and you ended up with a silver medal, you ran next to Usain Bolt, and then you'd be like, I don't want this. I only want winner. What I'm saying is there are good seasons. Now, if you have expectations like Green Bay does, right, with Aaron Rodgers on back-to-back MVPs, his expectation was Roethlisberger on his last leg, like a few years removed from elbow surgery, like with no offensive line, and your expectation is a Super Bowl? You got to be kidding me. If you thought the Pittsburgh Steelers were a Super Bowl team over the last couple of years, and Bodo, I love you, they were not. They weren't. They're not building back that way. If they would have gotten there on guts and guile, it would have been a great story. But like, the fact that you guys made the playoffs last year, the year before that, you make the playoffs and you get dusted by the Browns. Mm-hmm. That is kind of a letdown, but still, like, it's trending in the right direction. It's better than not. It's better than the Bengals' first playoff win since, what did they say, like before, I don't know, like 1986 or some crazy number. Like, think about the Bengals in your division for so long.
Yeah, Pittsburgh has a winning tradition, and it's tough to get their fans off of it because if you want to fire Mike Tomlin, you're nuts. And we've always, and me and you have talked about that for the last couple of years when we heard those. Mike Tomlin is a top coach in this league, and it's weird that a fan base of that caliber would want to get rid of a coach like that. But what I have for you, Tony, I have
Bodo, I get what you're saying here. I get it. It is Super Bowl expectation. I have unrealistic expectations that many people think about the Chargers this season, right? I will be unhappy with anything less than a trip to the AFC Championship game. I will be unhappy. And people will be like, well, that's unrealistic. What if they made the playoffs? And what if they won a playoff game? Well, I don't know. I don't like it. I want more. I want more out of this team and out of this defense. But once I have a chance to remove myself from it, this past year, I was able to find things to be happy about them, not making it into the playoffs. I would have preferred to go to Buffalo, but it's such a weird thing with the Steelers because, and Bodo's older like us.
Yeah.
They did most of their winning with Chuck Noll. Like before, we don't even have a ton of video of that. Bill Cowher went to 2 Super Bowls. They lost to the Cowboys, and then they beat who they beat? The Colts or whatever in the other one? Or not the Colts, I'm sorry. In Cowher's Super Bowl, I forget who they beat. I'm blanking on it right now. It was in Detroit. Why can't I picture who they beat? Anyways, and then Mike Tomlin, he's been to 2 Super Bowls. So it's like you guys are getting there more than most teams. Not everybody's going to have a run like the Patriots. The Colts had Peyton Manning. They went to, 2 Super Bowls in that time? He's considered one of the best ever. Favre in Green Bay went to 2 Super Bowls in 15 years of a Hall of Fame career.
Did you hear what I said, Tony?
What'd you say?
They beat Seattle.
Ah, that's right. Matt Hasselbeck, Sean Alexander. I remember now. There we go. Thank you. Yeah. All right. Enough about the Pittsburgh Steelers. We got some other stuff to talk about, and I have to go make dinner.
Give me one. That's what I was going to ask you, Tony. Okay, so now we've seen 3 wide receivers traded, 3 big-name wide receivers traded this offseason. Devontae Adams, Tyreek Hill, and Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper's deal looks like crap now, right? Looks like the worst deal. Which deal do you think was a steal? Which one do you think was the worst? And which one do you think is better long-term?
So this is a great question, Joe, and I've actually thought about this quite a bit. To me, I think Tyreek Hill is one of the most dynamic, unique weapons we've ever seen in football. But he to me is more useful with a certain kind of quarterback, because I don't know Tua's deep ball is good enough to fully exploit that. Now, I still think Tyreek, like I said, is going to have success. But to me, I prefer Devontae Adams and I prefer Amari Cooper, because these guys are route technicians. And I know Tyreek runs good routes. Don't send me clips of tape of him running. He's a good route runner. But Devontae Adams and Amari Cooper are so consistent and precise in their routes, they can really translate to any good quarterback. Now, we saw Jordan Love. He stunk. Maybe that's a sign that he's not even good, that he couldn't get on the page with him. But I would prefer those two guys that don't necessarily rely on just that cheetah-like speed to be able to take over a game. You know, it's why I like DeAndre Hopkins out there nursing a calf injury, and he's still making 5 catches for 95 yards. It ended up costing him a long time because the quad kept him out a long time. But I like guys that are able to dominate even when they're a little bit behind. So I would say the deal I like the best is Amari Cooper. Don't get me wrong. Like, you're only paying $20 million for Amari Cooper. And now he's got Deshaun Watson potentially throwing him the ball by Thanksgiving. Yeah. I like that deal the best. Devontae Adams is the guy that I think is the best complete receiver that I would want on my team. I would want Devontae Adams.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm biased because I'm a Raider fan, so I think Devontae Adams is the best overall deal and everything else. But that's just me. Oh, Bodo's a little bit behind us, so he's trying to comment and trying to keep up with us.
Oh, okay.
So let's get we've been trying to do this for the last couple of weeks and try to incorporate this into our Sports Dummies show, Tony. Right? We've been saying, hey, we're going to talk mostly football because we love football and football runs this country, right? And we said, then we're going to add a little bit of sports story. We're going to go out and find a sports story and add to it. I found a good one today on accident. I don't even know how it came up, but it came up. But I'll let you go with yours because I think mine is going to stump you just a little bit. So I don't want to rain on your parade with mine because I don't know. Maybe I'm building mine up too much. I'm building my sports story up too much, but I think it's a good one.
I love it. I love the anticipation. I just want to say my non-football topic is the Los Angeles Dodgers manager, Dave Roberts, going on and just going, we're going to win the World Series. He's talking to Dan Patrick. No, I know where you're going. We're winning the World Series. We're going to win the World Series. And I love it, right? People will be like, oh, well, isn't that braggadocious or assuming or whatever? With this roster, this payroll, the amount of sort of, I won't say choking, but just like last year really bothered me, how you could have the second best record in baseball and then that's your first round opponent. It's like, well, that's kind of a scheduling fluke or whatever. But I want the manager of a team that's that loaded. Now, if you're managing the Pittsburgh Pirates, you don't need to come out and say we're going to win the World Series. Just be like, yeah, we're going to develop some young players this year, and we got a lot of exciting prospects that we're bringing up, and we're going to compete. That's fine. When you're Dave Roberts, I don't want to hear you're going to compete. I want to hear there's going to be a parade that I'm going to be cursing traffic for because I don't necessarily care about baseball as much, and it might be affecting me from getting to someplace to watch Thursday night football. Like, that is what I want to hear from Dave Roberts and winning the World Series. You have to say that. So,
and Bodo's saying the only way the Dodgers can win the World Series again is if they get rid of Kershaw. Well, they haven't got rid of Kershaw, but the Dodgers have named somebody else as the opening day starter besides Kershaw.
I saw this. That was interesting. With the first non-injury year that he hasn't started, and they're going to give it to Bueller. Walker. Bueller. Ferris.
But yeah, like you said, Tony, why not come out and say that? When you're a good team, why not Alex Cora of the Boston Red Sox? Why is he out there going, hey, I don't know. Dave Roberts is dead wrong. We're winning the World Series. Like, I love that stuff. I like when people are cocky, and that's what I tell about football fans right now. When people go off on me about how I'm talking about the Raiders right now in the offseason, why not? This is the time to talk about it. Why not if you're not giving your fan base hope at any point before the season starts, then it's going to be a long season. And why am I even going to watch the season?
Oh man, when you see Bears fans in chats right now, oh my, it is so depressing. They're like, oh man, I hope this guy falls to us. We need help at every position. I was just like, holy shit. It's going to be Darnell Mooney and Justin Fields running for their lives out there. Like, I mean, they still got some stuff in the backfield to be excited about and Cole Kmet, but they just are like looking at it like the world is ending. I'm like, give the new guy a chance. I mean, I get it's a rebuild and you have no shot at the Super Bowl unless Justin Fields comes out and has Patrick Mahomes-esque year where he throws for 50 TDs or whatever. But still, like, that's why I told you, Joe, and I really meant it. I was like, you got to stop looking at all the negative press about the Devontae Adams thing. Like, why? Like, don't let that rain on your parade. You know how excited I am about Gerald Everett? I just said on the show before this, Gerald Everett's going for 65 catches, 750 yards, and 8 touchdowns. And Mike's like, what do you... I don't care. I love Gerald Everett, and I'm glad that he's going to be wearing powder blue.
I liked your idea earlier that you said you were going to put your ideas
on
the board and then revisit it at the end of the year.
Joe
Tony is getting up out of his seat right now, and he's putting a
Joe
board
Morley's
up.
calling me a liar right here.
Thankful, grateful, blessed. So for you guys listening on the podcast, Tony is actually pulling a board out, and he's going to write on all his ideas throughout the whole year, all his predictions throughout the whole year. He's going to throw it in the bag or throw it on the board, and he's going to read them all at the end of the year, and we can laugh at them.
Tape it to the wall. First prediction going on the wall is Gerald Everett. All right, Joe, let's start talking about yours.
All right. So I'm at work today, and you know, I'm talking about some stuff, and somebody goes, hey, did you hear about Shaquille O'Neal and the stuff that he used to do to the rookie players back in the day? And they said that Gary Payton had an interview, and he talked about it. And I was like, hell no, I haven't heard that story. Shaquille O'Neal, Tony, oh my God. He used to defecate and pee in a bucket and leave it for a week and then throw it on rookie players, on rookie National Basketball Association players, Tony. He used to do that, and they called that a prank. You do that to me. You call that a prank to me. I'm whooping your ass. I'm whooping your ass. How did we not hear about this until now, Tony? And today is the 25th, right? Today's the 25th of March. The story that I found about it came out on the 2nd of March. Gary Payton talked about it on the 2nd of March, and I barely found out 23 days later. But I'm more pissed off that I found out 30 years later after Shaq did this to all these players. If you were a player that sat there and got this thrown at you, how did you not get up and beat the crap out of Shaq? Or at least, I know he's a big dude, but at least sock him and run him for your life and be like, hey, I socked you. It was a prank. It was a prank. That's not a prank, Tony. That's disgusting. That's the worst thing I've ever heard of any hazing that's gone on in any kind of sports.
Well, you know, okay, so I'm totally with you. If somebody did that to me, we're fighting. Like, it's not a question of whatever. It's not a prank to have feces or whatever. Especially, like, it's kind of weird because, like, the history of the stuff that's been happened and people spitting on you and treating you like you're less than in this country, like, it just is, it feels like poor taste. But also, like, Kobe, he dimed out Shaq for stepping out on his wife. Remember when Kobe was in his little problem in Colorado and he was like, oh, well, Shaq steps out on his wife too. And Shaq was like, hey, man, like, he was probably like, why didn't you just tell him about the buckets of piss and shit or whatever? Like, it would have been better for Kobe to say that than to say, oh, Shaq also does these things that are not, honorable by the marital codes in life. So I played sports and I played hockey, and there's some really odd hazing shit, right, that they make you do. And I remember one year when I was a first year on a hockey team, the plan was the figure skaters were on side, and we used to have these practices that were called dry land. It was basically conditioning for hockey. And you have to do all this stuff, and we'd be over there. And they go, all right, rookies, you're going to do push-ups. And the first person to drop has to drop their sweatpants and run across the rink butt naked, right? Like that was the hazing that you had to do. And I started to get down for a push-up, and I looked at the guy who was giving me the order, and I was bigger and stronger than him. And I said, you know what, Kenny? Eat a dick. I'm not fucking doing, because I was big and strong, but I knew that like all these other like skinny kids were going to be able to do a bunch of push-ups in a row, and I might not be able to hang. Or it might have been holding a plank, and I was 60 pounds heavier than these other kids that were like string beans or whatever. And I was like, I'm going to lose. This is dumb. And a couple of the other kids were like, yeah, I'm not doing that. This is stupid. I don't want to do this either. And it's like, at some point you just have to go, you know what? Hazing, all this bullshit. I'm not into it. I'm not into hate. I told my kids that too. It's like, if somebody ever says you have to do this dumb thing to be a part of our group, just flip them the bird and keep going. You can find better people to be friends with. Not everybody on the team wants to do that. Throwing fecal matter on human beings, I don't know how this is not a bigger story.
Yeah, I when I heard it, I was like, what the heck? And like Gary Payton, if you look it up, Tony, look it up the story and watch the way that Gary Payton tells the story. He acts like it's no big deal. He's like, yeah, so he would poop in a bucket and pee in the bucket, leave it in there. And when the guys were going to the stall, he would just come and dump it over the top. And then he just went into another story like it was nothing, like it was normal, like it's normal for somebody to do that. And I'm just like, no, stop, time out. What are you doing? We don't do that. That's not normal.
We had a kid at our high school, and he got expelled, and people were trying to press charges against him because a senior class prank at the pep rally freshman year, he filled spoiled milk and whatever, and then it found out that he had urinated inside the Super Soaker, and he was spraying the freshmen with like rotten eggs and spoiled milk, and rotten fish was all inside this contraption that he made, and he was spraying it. And people were trying to like parents were like, we're going to sue this kid for doing this. He ended up getting expelled from school, but you can't be doing that to grown-ups. My man Tony played hockey. Newfound respect for you. Hockey is my number one sport for live games. I played hockey. Hockey was my first love growing up. I grew up in Upper Michigan, and we played hockey outdoors and pretty much year-round. Bodo, I don't know if you remember, the best player I ever got to share the ice with was Zach Parise. I think he played for the Devils and the Minnesota Wild. I stopped watching hockey during the strike-shortened season, and I just never came back. I was also kind of sad when my hockey time was done. But yeah, I was a hockey player.
And
I was okay. I wasn't really that good.
Was only the second player in history of hockey to ever take off his skate and try to stab somebody with it.
Yeah, that is a fact. Happy Gilmore style. That is a great way to end this show. Dinner's not going to taste quite as right after Joe's final story there. We appreciate you stopping in to Sports Dummies. Subscribe, leave ratings, tell your friends. Let's have some fun. Let's talk about it. And let's all be champions. And let's settle for nothing less like we are the Pittsburgh Steelers. Because we don't want just making the playoffs. We want championships here. Sports Dummies. Bodo, we missed you, and I'm glad you found us. We'll be back next Friday. Same time, same bad channel. Wait, is Stan Patrick still a thing? Joe, you got anything else you want to add?
Shaq, come do that to me, and you're getting your ass whooped.
I love it. Gerald Everett right there. That's the prediction. Going on the wall. 65, 750, 8 TDs from a man, GE. Both up.
Sports Dummies!